Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This is Julianne Ehlers, Program Director for NEMSIS Technical Assistance Center. We are pleased to learn this morning from Dr. Clay Mann. He is the Principal Investigator for the NEMSIS Technical Assistance Center. Clay is going to be discussing tracking and improving EMS agency data quality. This is meant to be interactive, so as you have questions, please feel free to use the chat feature or to unmute your microphone and ask those questions. There is time scheduled today for that. We appreciate you being with us this morning, and I'm going to go ahead and have Clay get started on his presentation for us. Thank you, Clay.
All right, yeah, thank you, Julianne. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning, particularly to talk about data quality. I looked at the folks who have joined the webinar. We have a great mixture of state-level EMS leadership officials, as well as providers, and those at the local level who are responsible for data quality. So clearly an engaged audience, and the folks that are most interested in this topic, thank you so much for joining. Really, it is a team effort to increase the quality of the data that's coming in through the NEMSIS project, and it has proven to be so incredibly valuable. And we've made great strides in regards to data quality. I hope to share that and convey that message today, that we've made great progress. But we can always do better with it, and it really improves our whole ability to improve the care we offer patients by improving our data quality for a number of reasons, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Let's go ahead and move forward. Let's talk about how data quality does improve the care of our patients. Really, our job and the whole purpose of NEMSIS, really, on top of being able to carefully abstract the care that we provide to patients as part of their medical record, there's also this idea that data can improve the care that we offer our patients. There was a great article that was written by Akhoff in 1989 in the Journal of Applied Systems Analysis called Data to Wisdom, and it really was informative, I think, to lots of researchers, because it really did point out the idea that data goes through a number of transformations to where it finally makes an impact. So maybe just a quick review is valuable for us to kind of be on the same page together. So literally, data can be collected. It's really just a collection of signals. Really, there can be no meaning associated with it until we turn it into information. When we try to organize it, interpret it by asking questions like who, what, where, and when, kind of an approach. So this square information, let's pretend, for example, that the green are related to cardiac arrest. So now we begin to understand the information in the signal, and that moves to knowledge when we try to look for logical relationships between, for example, the green dots that are all related to cardiac arrest. Then we hope by looking at that knowledge, we gain insights. So we look at how cardiac arrests relate to other elements, and hey, we've discovered something that makes some sense, that might improve the care of our patients who are suffering cardiac arrests. When we look at those relationships and conform some relationship between the elements, for example, for a cardiac arrest that can be turned into action, that becomes wisdom and produces the impact. Well, that's probably not news to anyone on this call, but I think it's important to point out that data quality, really, how you assess it can be different across these levels of understanding, right? So if you're just looking at whether you're getting good signal, that really doesn't speak to whether or not the data are consistent or whether logical checks make sense in relation to cardiac arrest. So really, our mission in regards to data quality, there's lots of steps in it, and it can be very complex. So it's important that we think about data quality just not like the low-hanging fruit that's easy to fix. There's other pieces of it, consistency and logical relationships, that also need to be looked at and important. Well, this idea that Akhoff forwarded in the early 1990s and really socialized then is important to NHTSA and to EMS. Here's a very recent publication that I would really endorse folks have an opportunity to take a look at, that was released by NHTSA, Beyond EMS Data Collection, Envisioning an Information-Driven Future for EMS. Well, if you look at this graphic that's included in the document, it really is the ATCOF model, right? Taking raw data and moving it through to wisdom. So this is something that our leadership in this country think is important. So all these steps can be really, really important. Well, there's no doubt that the folks on this call recognize that data quality is really key to a lot of what we do. And we've been looking at data quality for a long time in regards to NEMSIS. I looked at who's on the call, and there are some very familiar names, folks that I've had the opportunity to work a lot with, who have been very interested in data quality and are doing great work. And that shows up in the data. This is a graph that we've been circulating for quite a while that talks about NEMSIS EMS data collection, data quality over time, really going back to 2010 under version 2 of NEMSIS. If you look at this for just a moment, you can see some of the elements that EMS was always familiar with collecting even prior to 2010, even on paper forms, such as valid EMS response times and the patient's sex have always been part of the paper records for years, and really were always well collected. But there were elements that NEMSIS brought out that maybe we weren't so used to collecting in the field. Two good examples are here: possible injury. So this is a measure. If you indicate that there was a possible injury, did you record the mechanism of injury? This is another good example of kind of a logical relationship. If you indicated that there was a cardiac arrest, the patient suffered a cardiac arrest, did you indicate the resuscitation that was offered to the patient? So we really weren't very good at collecting that data early on, but you can see how the good work that you've done, both at the local level and at the state level, that's been improving over time. And interestingly, under version 3 of NEMSIS, you can see where we introduced the schematron file that included about 400 business rules. So you can see that beginning in 2006, really the quality of the data jumped up enormously with the addition of the standardized business rules across the entire country, that when an EMS provider goes to close a record, it will indicate whether or not there is a potential error, provides warnings, and then hopefully the providers are going back and looking to see whether or not maybe they fat-fingered something. And clearly they have been, right? The data quality, even as of 2017, is much improved. And this is held for 2018, and we're now closing 2019. So really, the data quality has been improving. Lots of these kind of low-hanging fruit pieces we've been incredibly successful at taking care of. Now, kind of how do you move past the low-hanging fruit to kind of where the bulk and where the real sweet spots are? Well, that it becomes harder and harder. We at the NEMSIS TAC know this as we try to help with data quality. There's lots of barriers at both the state level and even at the agency level to how can we effectively do this quickly and efficiently and provide back good quality data to our providers that allows them to increase the quality of data that they're collecting so that research can move forward and we can improve the care of patients. There's clearly limited time on all of our plates to be able to dig into this kind of issue. There's many elements in NEMSIS that are collected. Which ones do we look at? Which ones are most important? At the state level, there's lots of agencies, hundreds of agencies you could be working with. So how do you choose who to work with? There's complex relationships in the data. We talked about logical rules and consistency over time. Those are really complex issues to try to improve data quality. It's got to be consistent. We've got to be able to follow up with our agencies or providers in a way that is educational and really makes it a positive for them to improve their data quality. And that kind of speaks to the last point. Sometimes feedback is not openly welcome, right? How do we make this process be kind of sensitive to their positions in EMS and their relationships among employees, and just ensuring that it's a way that when we provide feedback on data quality, it actually ends up being a positive. So that's where we want to talk today. What I hope to do today is to provide you with a way to utilize the Tableau reports that are available to states to improve the data quality in individual agencies and speak to each of these difficulties. So the state officials that are on the call, they have access to these Tableau reports. This will make direct sense to them. They will have seen these reports before. Some of the providers on the call may not have seen these reports, but it's valuable that you're here, because incredibly valuable, because these reports are made to go back to you. So this is where the relationship that the NEMSIS TAC would love to facilitate between the states and the agencies can be strengthened in a way with these many limitations, and really allow efficient feedback back to the individual agencies to allow them to look at their data quality. So the state of Utah has graciously allowed me to utilize their data to demonstrate how the Tableau reports can be used in this way to provide agency level, very efficient reports back to the agencies in regards to their data quality. So thank you for the state of Utah allowing us to show this data. So I'm going to just back out of the presentation for just a minute, and I'm going to drag over my location here on NEMSIS. I've opened this up as Utah. I'm gonna just open another tab and show you how I got to this Tableau report for maybe new data managers or for providers to know how this is accessed. So if I go to NEMSIS, go to View Reports, there are agency reports and agency representatives. I would suggest you go in and look at those reports. They're going to be incredibly valuable. We're going to go into state reports today and go to version 3 dashboards. And the report that we're looking at is this one down here, the V3 State Data Submissions Report. It's a dashboard that comes up specific to each state's data. This is what it looks like when I open it for the state of Utah. So here you can see lots and lots of information. This is in regards to the it's a summary of the submissions from each of the agencies in the state of Utah. You can see it here, and it's broken down into zip code regions. So just familiarize you a little bit with this report. So this is for the entire state of Utah. It's for a specific period of time. You can see from December 23rd until the last day of December. So the data is very timely. That's the first thing I want to make sure is clear, that for you providers, these reports have data that's only a week old. So literally you can receive this report and have it in a timely fashion where you can go back and speak to your teams and your providers about data that they put in just last week. So here are the total submissions for the state of Utah, and those that appear in orange are patient care reports that were submitted that had at least one warning that was associated with the data. So you can see that Felicia, particularly who's the state data manager for the state of Utah, can come in here and see. Well, for example, I'm seeing about one warning per activation submitting, so that's not bad at all. I can look and see when, for these violations, when are they most likely happening in my state. So here's, yeah, it looks like there's slightly more kind of warnings in regards to data quality on maybe Monday, early in the morning, for example. It's a little bit higher, right? So this may not be so valuable at a state level, but when we drill down to an agency, this is going to be incredibly valuable. Here's the NEMSIS elements where these warnings are most likely found. So EDisposition 12 is where most of the warnings are occurring. Here are the warnings by agency. Here's the software package that's used in the state of Utah. And also importantly, here are the actual messages in regards to the warnings that are happening in the state. So I'm gonna pretend for a moment that I'm Felicia, and I'd like to prepare a report to go out to a particular agency. So let's say that I'm interested in trying to improve the quality of the data submitted in my state. Let's take a look here at the agency. So here I have a list of agencies and the average number of warnings per patient care report that was submitted during this time frame. Well, when I go down through here, I'll immediately see, well, there's clearly some agencies here that had lots of warnings, but they're not very active, right? So here, this first agency, they only submitted 6 activations during this 10-day period. So maybe this is a small agency somewhere. This agency submitted 30 during this time period. So you can go down and see where maybe, you know, is my time best spent on this agency, 2310, with only one activation submitted during this time frame. Well, let's say that I've decided, well, I look down through here, here's 0202. They submitted 30 activations, and I know this agency, they're pretty active. So I'm gonna click on that. And then the magic of Tableau, of course, is that everything on the report will change once you choose an item. So here we have data specific to agency 0202. You can see here that they are in the northern part of Utah. They serve these zip codes up here. We can see for this agency when warnings are most likely to occur. So maybe this pattern isn't really clear to me or to Felicia, but if the agency was to receive this report, they go, oh, okay, I know who was on staff, and I know exactly perhaps who I could talk to about data quality. Let's dig a little deeper into this. So
Clay?
here's, yeah.
It's Felicia. Just a comment too, though. So we actually, like when that one, I think you hovered over one of the errors and it said like arrived at patient date and time.
Oh,
We don't collect that as Utah, so we're going to get different errors and really, I mean, like, you know, our errors might be bigger because we don't actually collect some of that data in Utah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So just FYI for everybody on the phone as well, I guess, you know.
Makes perfect sense, and that will be why maybe it's so important for the data managers to see these reports. Great point.
And I'm not sure we can filter those out yet, correct? Or if we ever will be able to, like, say, exclude these kind of warnings or errors in the data, in the Tableau reports.
Yeah, that's a good question, and we've discussed that internally here. We're not sure how that can happen, but would love to be able to do that. Yeah, so that's still on our radar. Maybe there's some ways we can help you with that until we get to that point. I'll demonstrate that in a minute. That may be helpful.
Thanks.
So as as Felicia so poignantly pointed out, if we go down here and find out what are the warnings that are kind of happening, you can see a lot of them are associated with times. And if we go down here and actually look at the messages, and I know these are a little hard to see, it really is for this agency about times, right? So here's a patient care transfer date and time. When you do vital signs, you need to report the date, time of the vital signs taken. So Felicia can look through these and say, okay, well, this one we don't require to be collected, or we don't collect, and but here are some related to date and times that are important to us. Maybe Felicia may want to, I'm going to make this a little bit smaller again so we can see the whole page. Maybe Felicia may want to say, well, maybe I need to look at the emergency reporting software package for this agency and make sure it's set up correctly. Maybe there's something that's not working well. I'd love to get this report off to 0202, that agency, so that they can take a look at these warnings and see if there's something that can be corrected. Well, we've taught you in the past that one way to do this is going to go, well, I can download this as a PDF. So if I go to download, I can choose a PDF or an image or move it into PowerPoint. I'm just going to choose a PDF, and then it will create a PDF, and then I can just shoot that PDF off to the data quality manager for agency 0202 and have them look at it. Well, so that's great. There's a couple of issues associated with this. One is that agency will be able to see the data quality of other agencies in the state. That might be a little bit sensitive. And you have to generate it, and then you have to send it off as a PDF every time to that agency person. Well, that's where we want to try to see if we can clean up this process a little bit for the states and for agencies who want these reports, and so they can be a little bit more efficient. So let's go ahead and click back out of agency 0202. And a cleaner way to get this report ready for that agency is, let's go up to agency number here and just choose we'd like the data quality report for 0202. So if we go to this process, we get the exact same report, but now it's just limited to that agency. So again, we could download it, but this is where we want to try to introduce another process you could use that may be incredibly valuable. So once you've chosen an agency report for the most current data that you'd like to send off, let's say you've spoken to this agency or they've requested that they have a report available to them so they can work on their data quality, you can utilize in Tableau this process called subscribe. So I'm going to click on subscribe here, and it gives me some options. And so here, for example, under subscribe, I can include in an email that will be sent out on a weekly basis to this data manager, either this view or the entire workbook. Let's just make it this view. Then for format, do I want to send the image, this exact image, in the body of the email, or do I want to have it attached as a PDF? Or do I want to include in this email the image and the PDF? You have your choice. Let's just have the image show. Then importantly here to remember is the schedule of when this report is going to be sent. Well, the NEMSIS TAC updates these reports every Tuesday morning. So we would suggest that you choose every Tuesday morning. Then that will ensure that there's a new report for the last week that would be sent out in this email. Here I can add a message. Say I want this to be the accepted PCR detail for agency 0202. And then here's where maybe you could add a message like what Felicia mentioned that will just always reoccur, that says, here is your weekly data quality report that you requested. Please remember that the state of Utah does not require that you complete these elements, and so ignore that warning. That type of thing, you could maybe include that here, Felicia, until we're able to refine the reports a little bit. That might be something you could do.
Thanks, Clay.
Once you've completed that, what'll happen is you as a data manager, so Felicia, if I pushed subscribe, she's going to get this email for agency 0202 every Tuesday morning. Now it goes to her rather than to the agency directly. That is on purpose, simply because we thought at the NEMSIS TAC, for a default, agencies or states would like to also track with agencies who are wanting to look at their data quality to determine whether it's improving or if there's other areas where the state could help. If the state data managers feel like they'd like these reports to go directly to agencies, there is an ability for us to turn on an other field up here where, for example, Felicia could add this subscription to go directly to, for example, John Doe at agency 0202. So we're happy to turn that on if that seems to be the way that DMC members, data managers across the country would like to utilize it. But this this is the process we wanted to describe that would really allow for this report to be made available to agencies in a much more efficient manner, right? So if we go back to the PowerPoint presentation, and of course I didn't want to go back to the beginning. Let's go back and evaluate kind of what this looks like. How can this be helpful? So yeah, this approach can be really helpful, right? You only have to set this up one time, and then it will continue to send out those reports to the agencies that you identify for as long as they want to receive it. You can go in and cancel at any time. You can change the subscription at any time. Once you enter a subscription, that email will always at the bottom of that email have the ability for you to modify your subscription. So let me see if that actually shows up on the previous slide. Yeah, so here's examples of what that email would look like that would come to you as a data manager. If you choose to have just a PDF attached rather than the view, then here's how it would come to your email box at the state. Here I added a subscription for worst offenders is what I called it. But here's where you'd manage these subscriptions. So you can have as many subscriptions as you want here with different views that are going to be mailed to you every Tuesday morning. So if you ever want to modify the way it looks, if you want to change it from having a PDF included in the email to you and actually have the report show up in the body of the email, you can change all these, you can cancel, you can add, all those things can be done through this mechanism. So it really does allow you to, it gains much efficiency. Really, there's many elements to look on. Here's where if we rely on the 400 business rules that are in the Schematron file and just work with those, pass those along to agencies, let them work with the wording and the messages. I think that can save some time at the state level. Then this process also allows you to concentrate on a subset of agencies, right? So if you want to choose the agencies that are having the most trouble, or if you want to congratulate the agencies that are doing such a great job, all of those are listed in that report, right? So if I go back to that agency report and I click off of the agency we were concentrating on, oh well, I have it chosen here. That's why it's not wanting to go back. If I go ahead and add all of the agencies back in, this same pattern is true for all states, right? What's incredibly heartening here, look, I mean, if you look at all the agencies in the state of Utah, really most of the agencies really only have like one warning per PCR. They're doing fantastic, and there's really just a handful that might need some additional information and help. So, wow, I don't know, maybe I'd like to send a report to one of these agencies saying, wow, what an incredible job you're doing. There's really only one type of warning that's reoccurring, and you can take a look at it. I'll pass this report on to you. Maybe there's a couple things you can clean up, but you're doing a fantastic job. You could choose all those types of agencies to be able to speak with. So lots of flexibility there. I don't know why that keeps going back to the beginning of the slide set, so I apologize. Complex relationships, that's again the value of the Schematron file. It includes business rules, consistency rules. That can be incredibly helpful. This helps with follow-up because they'll get a report every single week. And then of course, you can choose who these reports go to. If you have agencies that want to have this report, if they contact you, or if you contact them and say, would you like to have a report, then you can clearly concentrate these on the agencies that are most interested in using this type of a system. So I am going to stop there and see if there are any questions associated with the use of subscriptions and the use of this Tableau report to increase the quality of data that's happening at the agency level by informing them on ways they can improve that data collection. Any questions among the state officials or any of the local providers who are interested in data quality that are on the call? Would love to hear from you. Okay. Well, I would suggest that the state data managers go ahead and try setting up one of these reports using the subscription button. Maybe choose an agency at random and try setting it up and see if you receive this report back next Tuesday morning, and just get a feel for how the process works and what the reports will look like that will come back to you. And then maybe you can set up a process whereby you choose some agencies that you'd like to concentrate on. And then feel free to get back to us if you'd like the reports to go directly to the agencies, if that would be even another step of efficiency that would be valuable for you, or if you find it valuable to be able to review the reports before you forward them on, we'd be happy to do either of those two approaches. So feel free to play with the subscription process and building these reports that can be agency specific and made available to agencies. Okay, Julianne, I'll turn it back over to you.
All right, thank you, Clay. Let me pull up the spring training calendar. Our next training will be February 4th, how to assess ePCR vendor performance, and that will be with Laurel Bader. The spring training calendar is available on the NEMSIS website. You're welcome to share this with anybody who may be interested in these trainings. If you have any questions, we are happy to help in any way, and we appreciate your participation. Thank you so much.